for the worst or prepare to open your wallets as wide as they'll go. That's the message from a government-appointed panel to companies who operate oil tankers. In the first review on that topic since the 1990s, the panel of experts assembled by Ottawa recommended getting rid of the $161 million liability cap for potential polluters in favor of no cap at all, making the point that taxpayers shouldn't have to be on the hook for the mistakes of industry. Here's Natural Resources Minister Joe Oliver at today's announcement.
In 2008 and 2012, more than 99.999% of oil and gas transported on Canada's federally regulated pipelines arrived safely. So the record is very good, but it is not perfect. We need to achieve our objective, which is zero serious spills or accidents. We've given the National Energy Board new authority to impose serious financial penalties on companies that do not comply with safety and environmental regulations.
All right, so does the government mean business when it comes to these recommendations, or is this just an elaborate window dressing? Here to help put this all into perspective is Gerald. He's a marine oil spill expert with World Ocean Consulting. Gerald, welcome to the program. So how likely is the government, do you think, to actually implement these changes?
Good question, Scott. This is just one step in the process. Now, apparently, Transport Canada is going to take these expert panel recommendations and go out and consult once again with stakeholders before coming up with new regulations.
The Transportation Minister, Lisa Raitt, today said that these are on top of what is, quote, an already robust tanker safety system. Do you agree?
Well, the government is taking a number of measures to improve tanker safety. This deals with oil spills if they do occur so that we're better able to clean them up. I think the current system, although it hasn't been seriously tested in the last 20 years, is nonetheless in need of a drastic overhaul. It's simply out of date.
A lot of people, though, look at this and say, because the system hasn't been tested and because we haven't really had, as you heard Joe Oliver say there, 99.9% success rate, I mean, because the record is, near perfect, why do we need this at all?
Well, the thing is that if we aspire to world-class standards, we're going to really have to up our game. We're nowhere near the standards that are required, for instance, in Alaska and Prince William Sound or in other parts of the world.
Sure. I got to ask you about this liability cap, $161 million. A lot of people look at that. I mean, when it comes to big business, this is really small potatoes. Why was that cap ever there in the first place? Having an unfunded or an unlimited, I suppose, liability seems like common sense to a lot of people. So how did that get there in the first place?
Well, it's important to remember that that's just the Canadian fund, the Ship Source Oil Pollution Fund. In addition to that, there would be international funds that have a total of $1.3 billion. So this is just the Canadian fund that was capped, and now the proposal is to make that unlimited so that taxpayers wouldn't be on the, on the hook for extra costs if there were a catastrophic spill.
Yeah, so Gerald, one of the things in our current system that this panel said is that the current plan is particularly lacking when it comes to rehabilitating wildlife that might be caught in oil and really cleaning up after the fact. Do you agree? And what of that is the biggest thing? If we had to implement one big change, what would it be?
I think the biggest messages from this report really have to do with adopting a risk-based approach instead of one single standard for the entire country, and also being prepared for a worst-case scenario spill instead of just a 10,000-ton spill now. If we were to implement those two measures, that would dramatically increase our capability to respond to a spill.
So right now, you and I were talking earlier. 10,000 tons spill. That's what the standard is now. Some of these tankers, though, they're much larger than that. Is that right?
Well, they're much larger, and these experts have said that we should be able to respond to a spill of the entire cargo of a tanker, which is very ambitious because some of these tankers hold 1-2 million barrels of oil.
All right, well, hopefully these recommendations actually get put into practice and not just put on a shelf somewhere. Gerald, appreciate your time today, sir.
Thanks, Scott.
All right.